Hello everyone, it's Neil here from 3D Tutor, back today with another tutorial. Sorry I've not been around everyone, I've been on holiday, but now I'm back and let's get on with it. First thing we need to do is let's delete this cube, delete this camera and delete this light. And let's bring in a new cylinder. And if we come over here now, we'll bring this and put this on 12. And then we'll rotate it on the x-axis, so RX 90. Enter, and let's press 3 on the number pad and let's bring it out on the y-axis. So let's just extend it out, and what we're looking for is to get it kind of a shape of what our chest length is going to be. And the next thing we want to do is we want to delete these faces here. So if you press tab button, make sure you're on face select up here, click on this face and delete key and press faces. And now we need to also delete any edges where it's starting to go in. So you want it as flat as possible to start with. So let's click on this one, and you'll see if you press 1 on the number pad that they're level with each other. That's exactly what you want. And now just delete the rest of the faces. So click delete faces. And now if we go into vert select and select both of these vertices, press 1 or 3, you can go into side view or the front view and press E, Z and bring it down and just make it to the length that you want your chest to be. I think I'm going to be happy with mine looking kind of like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to still on vert select, I'm going to bring out the top and I'm going to set on proportional editing. So now when I press S, Y, I can bring, if we bring this out, look, and we pull it out, we can see now that we can get a nice slope to our chest, which is something that I want on my chest. And you can see it's pretty even along the edges. That's exactly what I want. And now what we'll do is we'll grab the edges around here. So make sure you click on one edge, so this is not selected, Alt Shift and do the same for this side. So holding Alt Shift and click, and now we can start bringing these in. So if you press 1 on the number pad, press E, S, take off proportional editing, S, and bring them in. And we want them to be a nice even thickness all the way around. So now if I press Shift Space and bring the move tool in, and now I can bring them down and I can press SZ and pull it back, and now we can even them up. And if you hold the shift button down, you can even them up a lot easier. And I think that this is a little bit too thick in comparison with this, so I'll bring it up just a slight bit and then I'll press SZ and pull it back a bit with the shift button pressed, and now you can see that they're fairly even all the way around. And if you're not happy with it, obviously you can go in with the node select each one and bring them down. But I think for now, at the moment, I'm quite happy with that. All that I need to do now is bring them out. So if I press 3 on the number pad, and now I can press S, Y and bring them out just so that they are pretty flat against here. And you can press 7 on the number pad again, press Z, go into wireframe, and now you can see exactly where they're standing in relation. So I'm pressing SY and I'm just bringing them out just a little bit more, and press Z again, go into solid, and there you go. That's looking about right. So now what we'll do is we'll press 3 on the numpad. So we're going to the front view, press Ctrl R, press 2 and left click, right click, and now we can start bringing these edges out. Now we want these edges, so they're going to come over here. We want them to be around about the same thickness as here, so that it's pretty even all the way along. So press 3 again, press S and Y, and just bring them out, just so they're around about the same thickness as these. Doesn't matter if they're a little bit bigger, because this is the front and these are the sides, of course. But as long as they're relatively similar, it should look pretty good. And now we need a bar going across the front and the back, of course, so we'll press Ctrl R and we'll go across this way this time, and we'll bring this down, and I want it to be roughly the same thickness as this, so you can see the width of this going up and the width of this going across, and that's round about the same thickness that I want it. And then we'll do the same on the back, so I'll bring it down just a tad like that. And I think that'll look about right. And remember, this is going to be our base for our metal for the chest. So now also we're going to need a bar at the bottom, so both bottoms on both sides, so we will do that next. So if I press 3 again and I press Control R along here, and I want it again to be around about the same thickness, so if I bring this down here, if you imagine this is the bottom bar of the chest and these are the sidebars, you can work out whereabouts or how thick you actually want this to be. So I'll do it on the front, and I'll also do it on the back. So if you want them exactly level, just press Control 3, press Z, go into wireframe, and now you can pull it down to the same width as the other one. Press Z, go back into solid mode. And now what we'll do is we'll do a split away from the main chest of this top metal piece, and I want this top piece to be all as one piece. I think that's important as far as the chest goes. So what I'll do is I'll press Alt Shift while I'm in face select, and I'll grab these faces running across here and these faces running across here, and then what I'll do is while holding Shift I'll actually select all of these like so, and I'll do the same on the other side as well. And of course you can press Alt Shift or use the C button to select all these, but I'll just select them like this for now. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift D, Enter, and I'm going to pull this up. So basically I've still got my original chest there, but I've actually parted this away from them with a duplication. And now what I'll do is I'll get the bottoms out as well. So I think I'll just move this up just a tad higher like that, and then I'll start grabbing these ones around here. We're going to do pretty much the same thing as we did with the top. So let's grab these around here and press Shift D and bring them up. And also I do want to level out these so that they level up much better than they did before. But I think it's important the first thing we did, because we don't need this extra edge loop in here. So I'll press Delete and I'll click Limited Dissolve, and that'll get rid of those. And now I can go into Node Select, and I can select these nodes here. So you can see that this node and this node, if we move them up, it's going to enable us to level them both up at the same time. So now if I press 1 and I pull these up like so, just get this one here pretty much level. It doesn't have to be exactly right, and then we can grab just these ones and we can make this more level than what it was previously, because I'm not happy with it being like such a bend in there. So now if I press SX and I can bring it in, and I want it actually to go around so it's looking a bit smoother as it goes around. So I will select these as well, and I'm going to press Control 1 and then SX again, and just bring them in just slightly like that until I'm happy with it. And of course just play around with it until you are happy with what yours is looking like. I think mine's I'm quite happy with that, except these I want to bring them out just slightly. So I'll grab all these nodes here, and I'll do the same on the other side. And then again I'll go into Control 1 on the number pad, SX, and just bring them out just a little bit, just to even that slope out a little bit like that. So now what we need to do is we need to grab the two bottom bits on this side. So we'll do pretty much the same thing. So we all need to grab these. We don't need to grab these bits here, because this of course is that. So then press Shift D and let's bring those up. And you can see already now the skeleton of the chest is being formed. So now we just need the bars running across the sides of the chest to complete the skeleton of it. So we'll click on this, go into it, and the easiest way to do it is to go to Vert Select, select this side and this side, press the F button, you've got that bar running across there. And we'll do the same on the other side as well. And now we can just go into Face Select, select this face with Shift click, press the P button, selection, and then that split those two up. And now I think we'll just set the origin to geometry. That'll put it in the middle. And if you've not got this on here, this gizmo here, press Shift Space and click on the Move tool, and that'll give you that. And let's just pull them up roughly into place. And now of course we also need this part on here, so a little bar on here. If we click on this again, we can see that we have actually got something we can use. If we press Control 1, now we can see that these are nearly level, not quite level, as you can see, because that's how the cylinder came out. So you can either use the bottom one or you can use the top one. I think I'll use this top one. So I'll go to vert select, I'll select this vert and this vert, press the F button, that gives me that bar, and then I'll do the same on this one. So select this one and this one, press the F button, and now again we'll just split them up. So face select, shift, click, P, selection like that, and then let's click on them both, press the tab button, and now we'll finally go to node select, select this one and this node, and I'm going to press Control 1, and now I can see exactly what I'm doing. You can see that these are not level, and also I would like this probably to be a little bit thicker than where it is. So I think instead of the node select, we'll just select the verts. So select this vert, Control 1 again, bring it up. So I think I'll be happy if it's just under this line here. You'll also have some line there to give you some reference point. Now going to node select, select this node and the back node, and again Control 1, and now you can actually bring it up and level it up. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, chests, they're not exactly accurate unless you're building something that is supposed to be like that, but chests in general, old chests like this, low polygon, doesn't matter if it's exactly correct. So I think I'm happy with how that looks right now. So now let's work on the wood on our actual chest at the bottom. So the first thing we need to do is we need to press tab on, click on this chest here, and we're going to split this away from the rest of it. So on any one of these, it doesn't matter, press the L button hovering over it, press P, click selection, press tab, click on it again, and press tab finally again. And I think what I'll do is first of all, holding Alt Shift, I'll select all these, and I'll do the same on the other side, and then I'll press delete, and I'll delete the faces off these because I'm not going to need these like that. They were just there for building the skeleton. Now press L hovering over it, press delete, and click on limited dissolve, and that'll give you a nice start for the wood. And finally, now what you're going to do is you're going to press Control R on this side, left click, right click, and then do the same here on the back, left click, right click, and there you go. Now we will make these faces on the side, but then we'll just split them off. So I'll use Alt Shift and select all the edge loops around here, take off these two using the Shift button, right click and bridge edge loops, and now let's make our edges there with F, and then we'll do the same on the other side. So it's Alt Shift, click, that grabs all those, take off the two at the top, right click, bridge edge loops, and now Shift click once you've clicked this one. So Shift click this and this, press the F button, and there you go. Now finally let's select these, and the same on the other side, P, selection, and now we've got these split up, and actually we can hide these. So click on the ones you've just done, click the H button, and that hides them away. Now I'll click on here, and I'm feeling that the wood for our chest is a little bit too thick for the size of the chest, so I'm actually going to break it up, these into smaller pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control R and hold your mouse over here, and that'll give you a line in the middle. Now if you press left click, and you can move it up and down like this, we don't want that, so just click right click and that'll place it right in the middle. That's exactly what you want. So again, Control R, left click, right click, and just do the same going up, and this is going to give you a bit more wood to play with, make it look a little bit more realistic. Even though it is low poly, it will look a bit more realistic with the wood, a bit smaller than what it was. It was a little bit too thick, I was feeling. Okay, now let's go into face select, hover over it, press L, come up to select and click checker deselect. That will select every other piece of wood. Press the P button, selection, and now we'll press tab, and now we'll click on, let's say, the bottom one and the second one up, press Control J, and then that'll join them all together. Now what we've actually done there is we've split up every single face now to make them individual pieces of wood. So now if we go in, press the tab button, you'll see they look the same, but when we press the A button and make them smaller, and if we go to individual origins, for instance, now make them smaller, you can see now that they split from each other. But we don't want them to do it like that. What we want them to do is we want to go back up to here and go to medium point, press the E button, press S, and we're going to bring them out like so. And now we just need to level them all back up, and finally then we'll make them smaller, and I'll show you the reason why we'll do it like that. So now we've got them like this. Let's press 1 on the number pad and we'll bring them up. So S, Z, let's bring them up a little bit so they're level with each other. And again, it's like the what we did with the skeleton of the chest. We want them to be pretty even all the way around. And finally, we want also the edges to be pretty much level with each other. So the way to do that is you can press 3, press Z, go into wireframe, and now press S, Y, and bring them in just so they're level. And you can also hold the shift button down to slow it down and just get them roughly about level. They don't need to be perfect. They are going to be hidden by the skeleton of the chest. And finally, let's now go back to solid, and now finally we can go into individual origins, and now you can make them smaller. So S, and you'll see they will bend in. That's okay. What we were looking for here is we want a little gap in between these pieces of wood, but we don't want a gap in the back. And the reason for that is because we don't want to see through the chest. So even if now we delete these faces to save on polygons, we still won't be able to see into the back of the chest, because these actual verts, although they're not merged, they are actually touching. So that's exactly what we want. Now again, we'll go into 3 on the number pad, and let's bring them out again. So they're roundabout level, they don't have to be perfect. Again, hold down the shift button, just bring them out, and now you'll see exactly what I mean. You cannot see through there, because if you look at the wood here, it's actually touching. So now we've done the front and back, let's press tab button and we'll press Alt H and bring in our sides, and we're going to do pretty much the same thing we did with this with the front on these sides. So let's come to this side first. The top one I think is okay, so I'll press Ctrl R, left click, right click on this, and I'll do the same going down. These bits you might want a bit thinner than what they are, but I think I'm quite happy with the thickness of these, because they do line up with these pieces of wood. And although they don't have to line up perfectly at all, I mean, you might want them, you know, halfway between each one. I think I'm happy with how this is going to look. So press Ctrl R on the bottom one as well, and now let's come to the other side. Remember, the top one doesn't really need doing. It's about the right thickness, and let's go down with Ctrl R, left click, right click, until we've got them up. And now let's go to face mode. Let's do this one first. So L, go to select and checker deselect, and that will select all those. Press the P button, selection, and now we'll do the same on the other side. So again, I'll select all these with the L button, go to select, checker deselect, P, selection, and now I'll join these two up. So let's grab these, and you'll see that they should all, you should grab them all, press Ctrl J, and now we've got them all selected. And the way to check that you've got them all is just go round, and you can see I can actually click on any of these or any of these. So now what I'll do is I'll press the A button to select them all. I'll make sure I'm on medium point, and then I'll press the E button and S and Y, and pull them out. And then you should see that they're both pulled out, and you've got a nice thickness there. And now you can go back to individual origins, and if I press 1 on the number pad, and now I can bring them down with the S button. You can see now I'm getting a nice gap there between them. That's exactly what we want. We can't see through them like the other ones. And now we'll just pull them out with SX and just pull them out so they're level again, and there you go. And now you can see already that you've got some nice pieces of wood, and you've got a nice slope on there because we use this as a base as well. So I think the next thing to do is now we'll go to materials, and we'll add a couple of materials. So first of all, I'll grab all these with A button, press the plus button, and go to new, We'll change this to diffuse. Of course, you would normally add in a texture, which would be the principal, but just for this tutorial, I'm just going to add in a basic material. So let's click on the color, and we're going to put it to orangey color to start with. Then move this down, you'll see that it turns a nice brown color. And finally, if we come up now to where this button here, that's the materials button, click on that, and you'll see now, if I press the tab button, it is a nice brownish color. I'll also rename this, and I'll call it wood. And it's going to be the same wood for both of these pieces of wood. So let's click on here now. And now if I click, make sure you're on materials, click on this button, you'll see now you've got wood already there. Click on that, and it'll make the whole thing into wood. Double tap the A button, and now you can see exactly what it's going to look like. So now let's start work on our metal part of our chest. If you press 3, you will come to the front of the chest. So here's my front. I'm going to click on this part, and I'm actually going to split, for now, I'm just going to split this up away from those. So the way I'm going to do is I'm going to press tab, I'm going to come to vert select, I'm going to click on this vert, and then press L, and that'll select all these verts because I don't want these in there for now. I'm going to press P, selection, and just split it off away. And now I've got this freely to work on. The other thing is that I do want this to have a bit of a kind of a slope to it, so it doesn't look too of a straight line. So what I'll do is I'll press Ctrl R, press 2, left click, right click, and now I'll press Ctrl R again on this side, left click, right click, Ctrl R on this side, left click, right click. So now I can grab both of these, I can come up to here, turn it onto medium point instead, press the S, Y, and now we can bring them out slightly. So now if I go to node selection and I select this node and this node, press 3 again, and now I'll bring them up, and you can see already you're getting kind of a nice curve there, and I think I'll bring these parts up as well. Just like that, so it's giving us a really, nice curve ready for our lock that's going to go on this front here. I think if it's straight across and you've got a lock there, it doesn't look as good as if it's curving into a kind of a lock. And now we'll do something similar on the back. I don't want it to look exactly the same on the back, so I'll just make it a little bit different. So I'll press Ctrl R, press 2, left click, right click, and then I've got these two here. And if I press Ctrl 3, you can see now we can see the back and the front. So I think I will lift these up very slightly, just to give it a little bit of a curve, but not the same as the front. So just a little bit like that. And don't forget as well, you're going to have hinges coming in the back of it. So just get a nice slope going to it. And you can see if you look around now, it's sloping nice in the way that we want it. And I think finally the last thing we'll do is with these nodes selected on the back, we'll also grab these on the front, and we'll press S, Y, and we'll just bring them in just a tad, just to make that slope a little bit more prominent. And I think it's up to you, everybody's individual, but I think I like my chest with not quite such an angle in this corner here. So now what we can do is we can press tab, and we can hide these parts. So press H, and do the same with both of these. So you can shift click them, press H, and now we can start bringing this down. First thing I'll do is I'll press Ctrl A, and I'll click rotation and scale, and now right click, and I'll set origin to geometry. Let's move that down now, and now it's time basically to bring in our solidify modifier, just to make this actual mesh, not a plane. So let's come over to here, the little spanner, add modifier, solidify, and now let's change the thickness so that it's going upwards like that, and now we can bring it down and kind of fit it into place. If it is like a little bit the edges are coming out like this, don't worry, because we're going to bring these pieces of wood in anyway. Just make sure that you're happy with how thick this is in comparison to the wood part here, and just make sure that you're also happy with this part here, how this part comes across. You might want to bring it up just a little bit like so, and if you do that, you might want to make it a little bit smaller. But before we do that, let's bring in these two parts here, and we can bring those in by pressing S and Y and just bring them in. Just make sure though that you are on medium point to bring them in. And now you can see as we've brought them in that it's looking much better already. But I think I'll bring them out just a little bit more. So SY, I don't want it too much of a gap there, and I think I'm quite happy with that. And now I'm just going to look round and make sure that I'm happy with the whole thing. And I'm looking also as well for the gaps in here, for instance. So I know to make this fit, I might have to kind of squish this in a little bit just to make it fit down properly, because I wasn't happy about the actual gap on this wood here. So let's press SZ and we'll just squish it down just a tiny bit, and then we'll bring it down just to there. We just want it settling on top of these wooden pots here, and then just have a final look round and make sure you're happy with everything. And I think I'll bring it in a bit on the y-axis as well. And again, things like this, always better to play around with them just to get them how you want them. And the other thing to remember as well, you're going to have some metal pots coming down here as well. So we'll put them in and then we'll fiddle around with it and make sure that it's looking the way we want it to. Of course, don't forget, if you go into solid mode to actually have a look, you've got a much better vision then of what actually it's going to look like. So just keep swapping as well between material and solid mode. And also don't forget that if you press, for instance, 3, you're going to get the front. So just look whereabouts your lock's actually going to go and where your hinges are going to go. And now we'll start on these parts here. Well, before we do that, we will go into material mode, and I will create a material for this. Again, it'll just be a simple material. I'm not going to apply the solidify yet because I might want to make these a bit thicker, and I want to have the option to change this. So now let's go back to material, press the plus button, new. Again, we're going to use a very basic diffuse for this, and all I'm going to do is turn this down just to give it that kind of metal color. Doesn't matter about the shine for this this tutorial. We're just basically looking how we can create a chest simply and easily, and also make it low poly. Also, don't forget, you could go in and delete all these polys on the inside, but we're not going to do that in this tutorial. And lastly, I'll just name this to metal, and I'll call it metal 1 because I might need a couple of different metals with different colors. So now press Alt H, I'll bring in all these parts, and basically you can see that these are joined to this bottom bit. I don't want that because I want these slightly thicker and these slightly more in. So I'll press Tab button, and now I'll go to Vert Select, and I'll select all these verts here. You should be able to click L over them because they should already be split up from these. Press P, Selection, and now I can start work on these. So again, Control A, Rotation and Scale, right click, set origin to geometry, and now we can go in either to side view or front view and just bring them down and see how they're going to fit. They'll probably be a long way out to start with, but don't worry about that. And now we'll come over to our little spanner again, go to modifier and hit solidify, and then just bring them inwards like so. And let's look where they're going to go. So obviously you can see that they are not the right height. And again, I'm going to go to material, solid mode, just to see where we are with these. So I will make them bigger. So I'll press 3, and I want to make them round about the right height, and then I'm just going to pull them in to the right side. So SZ, and let's bring them up. And on the chest, the bottoms should be slightly bigger than the actual wood. That's how they normally would, because you've got a bar going across here. So I'm quite happy with how that looks at the moment. The one thing is I need to obviously bring them in because at the moment they're far too stuck out. This lip should be under this, not over the top of it. So let's bring them in very slightly, like so. And now we can see that we also need to bring them out this way. And we can also see that there is a possibility, like I said, that this part here needs bringing out. So we'll sort that out now. So if we press S and then X, and then we can bring that out very slightly, and now we can also bring these out. So if we press S and X, and let's bring these out just so they're covering the front of it. And now have a look round and just make sure, as you can see here, that this lip is just over the top of it. That's how it normally would be on a chest. And just go around now and make sure that you're happy, and also that these edges are actually touching the wood, because you have extended this out. So now let's work on these pieces here. So we've got these pieces, they're already split away from it. Press Ctrl A again, rotation scale, right click, origin to geometry, and now we can move these into place. And they want to be about the same level as the others, so I'll press 3 and I'll move them out, and now I can get a good idea of you know, the height of these things. So let's again bring in our modifier and add modifier and solidify and bring them out just like that. Now I don't want them actually going past this point, I want them before this point, and I also want them a little bit wider just so there's no chance of a gap appearing in here. So if I press 3, press SY and bring them out just very slightly, and I think this little gap here is absolutely fine. That's exactly how they would look, to be honest. So now let's just check to see whereabouts they are, and we can see that they're poking out just a little bit too far. And I think what I'll do on this occasion is I'll apply the modifier, and then I'll press tab, go into face select, and I'll do this one first, and I'll just pull it in just a little bit, just so it's just overhanging the wood a little bit so we can still see that. And then I'll do the same on the back one, just like that. And now if I press tab, double tap A, and now you can see that this is looking like it should do. And the last thing I need to do, now I've got them in the right places, I need to bring both of these up to under here as well. Although this top bit should be a little bit thinner than this bottom bit I'm feeling. So let's select these again, Shift D, and now let's bring them up to the top as well. And we can also, now if I press 3, we can bring these down, so SZ. Let's make them a little bit thinner and bring them up just a little bit like that. And now double tap A, and let's see where we are with that. Now it's very hard to get an idea of how it's going to look in solid mode sometimes, but I can see some on the backs of these, for instance. You can see that they're flashing, and that means that the faces are overlapping. So the best way to fix that is if we click on the main wood here, press H, and then we can actually work on the bottom ones. And if we click on the main skeleton here, press H once more, and now we can work on these ones as well. So all I'm going to do to fix that is I'm going to join these two up. So click on them both, shift click, then press Ctrl J, that's them both joined up. Now make sure you're in face select, select all the back faces, and what we're going to do is simply just delete them. So delete faces, and now we're not going to get that flash in there. Press tab, Alt H, and bring everything back. And finally now we're going to go into material mode, and I'm actually going to give these all these a material. So we've got our metal already there. I think what we'll do is we'll give this metal the same one as this. So let's go now to materials again, and we'll see we've got metal 1 there. So we'll do that. And these ones, I think at the bottoms here, I'll make a little bit lighter because I'm also going to put some on the sides as well. So let's now grab these, and we'll click the plus button, new, diffuse, and let's just pull this down just a little bit. Double tap A to make sure you're happy with it. And I think it needs to be a little bit darker, so I'll put it a little bit darker like that, and I'll change this to metal 2. And now we've just got these sides to do, so let's grab these sides and these tops, press Ctrl J, and we're just going to join them together now just to make it a little bit easier. So again, Ctrl A, rotation and scale, right click, origin to geometry, and press 3. And you can't see anything at the moment, so you might be better with 1 actually, and just bring them down into place, and straight away you can see that they are certainly not wide enough. So I'll just bring it down just to there, and I'll make them wider, so SX, bring them out. And again, we're going to do it like we did on the previous these ones here, so they're just going to be poking through just a little bit. So again, I'll come over to add modifier, solidify, and I'll make the thickness the other way. And again, this one here might be slightly more out than this one here, so we'll work on that now. So what we've done now, we've just make sure they all look okay and we're happy with them. and I'm happy where they're coming on here, and I'm also happy where they're coming to here. Click the apply button, and now you can press tab, and now you can actually go in and these top ones, let's look at these first. So when we're looking around, we can see that they might be poking through there. I'm not sure without putting the material on, we'll look at that in a minute, but these ones here we can see are definitely poking through. So I need to bring those in. So I'll click on both these faces, I'll press S and Y, and I'll bring them in, holding the shift button down just a little tad, just so that they're not overhanging these, just like that. And I think now I'm happy with how it's looking for the main part of the chest. I think I'm going to actually apply the modifier here, and I'm just going to pull these corners out just a tiny bit. Of course, some chests have a little edge on the bottoms of them, but again, it's just making things more complicated. That's something you can do. So let's first of all click on these edges here, click apply, and now we'll go to tab button, go to vert select, and we'll just select these vertices here, and we're just going to pull them out just a little bit, just to make our metal here look right. So let's press S and Y and just pull them out just a slight bit, just like that, and it gives the chest just a bit more variation. So that's looking quite nice there. And what I'll do now is I think I'll press tab button once more, I'll click on this edge here and this edge here, and I'll pull those out a little bit as well. So S, Y, and just pull them out just a tiny bit, just so it's got a little bit of a slope going down there. And finally, now what we'll do is we'll add our material onto this. So it is metal 2. Come over to material and click this little arrow here and click metal 2, and there we go. Press tab button, double tap A, and now let's have a look around and just make sure you're happy with the skeleton of the chest, and that all looks correct. And of course, the main thing you're looking for is, are you happy with how thick this metal is on here? I think in the sides it would be relatively thin. It would be much thicker on the top, because of course the top is the part that's actually opening up. Our cursor is in the middle. The way to do that is Shift S, and you're going to put cursor to world origin. That's going to put it there. If it's not there, then press Shift A, come down to where it says cylinder, and you're going to add a cylinder in. Now the cylinder should be already set at 12, exactly as the way that it was when we set up this initial cylinder for the chest. So now that we've got that there, let's turn this around. So RX 90, and let's now put this in place. So let's first of all make it bigger. This is going to be a metal band going up, and I'm going to bring it in a little bit. So S, Y, let's bring it in. And I also want to think it to be a little bit thicker on the top, a little bit wider, I mean, on the top. So let's first of all apply our modifiers. So let's make sure they're all applied, because we are happy with how the chest looks. So I'm just going to make sure everything is applied before I join them up. If you join them up without applying the modifiers, you'll see that they will all get messed up. If you do that, just press Ctrl Z, and then you'll be able to go back and fix that. So let me just see if that they're all selected now. If I press the G button and I try and move it, I can see what else I need to join up. So I need to join with shift click this one and this one, Ctrl J, press the G button, and now I can see they're all joined, and I can actually hide it. Well, before I hide it, what I need to do is I need to select this cylinder once more, and I need to see whereabouts this is coming down to, because I don't really want this part here going over this. I want it to stay within there. So I'll go on face select, I'll select this face and this face, press delete, faces, vert select, and now press Ctrl R, and you should be able to see where the vert is through there, and I want it just halfway down here. If you want to see it better, just press Z, wireframe, and now you can see if you press 3, there's the vert going across there. And now press Ctrl 3, and I'll go to the back now, and I'll press Ctrl R, going across again, and I'm just going to bring it down to where it needs to be. Z, go back in solid mode, and now I can see I'm happy with that. And now finally I'm going to press tab. I'm going to hide this main chest, so H, click on your cylinder once more, tab, and now we can start deleting these faces. So you can delete this face and this face, so press delete faces, and now you can press L on the bottom of it and delete faces again. That's just got rid of that for us. Now tab once more, Alt H, bring everything back, and now let's look at how we actually want this. So I do think that I want this, like I said, much wider on the top. This is going down to a lock, so let's press SY, sorry, let's click on this one, SY, bring it in, and now let's work on these. So if I click on vert select this vert, come up to here, and we'll put this on proportional editing, and now we'll bring this out like we did with the sides. So press S and Y and make it a little bit smaller and just bring it out slightly like that, and now you've got a nice slope, as you can see, going round. If you press 7, you can see what your slope's going to look like. And if you want it like not as much as a incline on here, just put another loop cut in here, and then you can make it a bit more smoother. But I think I'm quite happy with how mine looks there. So now I'm going to go over to the spanner icon once more. I'm going to go to solidify, and this time I'm actually going to bring it in. So that way, let's bring it in, so it's all touching the wood like that. Have a look around, make sure you're happy with it, press the tab button, finally hit the apply button, and there we go, that's that part done there. Okay, press the tab button, press 3 to go into front, so you know this is the front here, and what you're going to do is now press tab, and we're going to go to face select this face, and then press shift S, and you're going to put cursor to selected, this bottom one here. That's going to put your cursor in here. Now when you bring your plane in with shift A, plane, you're going to put it exactly where it needs to be. So let's just quickly turn this round. First of all, I'll take off proportional editing, RY 90, and just bring it out a little bit. We are going to make this level with this, but to start with, it's just making it a little bit easier for us. So let's add an edge loop in the middle. So Control R, left click, right click, and then go to node select, bring this out like this. And I'm also going to bring these in, so I'm going to select these two nodes, S, Y, bring them in like so, and also I'm going to select the middle node, so I'm going to select this one, middle one, this one, and I'm going to bring them up because this is way too long for what we need. Now I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to make it smaller, and what I'm actually going to do now is get it to be the right size to where I want it for a lock. So I think I'm happy with that. It's kind of stylized, this chest, and that's exactly the look I was going for. And now what I'll do is I'll just bring it out with extrude. So E, bring it out. And what you want to do here is you want to make sure there's enough room to actually put a lock in it. So I think it should be round about there, but you'll see as you move along through the process. Press L, and now let's bring it back. And finally what I'm going to do now is R, Y, and I'm going to twist it so I'm getting it the right dimensions to fit in here. So RY, and look where you want your actual lock to come. So I think as well that I want it to come down a little bit further, and just try and fit it into place. I think the actual lock would come just over here, so it's actually on here as well. So I'll bring it down a little bit more, bring it out a little bit. And I think I will be happy with it like that. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And again, this is mainly just fiddling around with things. So RY, and now I can see that probably this lock, if I bring it out a little bit, like I said, probably needs to be extruded out a little bit more than where it is. So it's quite easy to grab the back of this lock. You can also grab it like this. So if we grab the two front plates, press H, and now we can grab the back ones, and now we can pull them out. Now you can pull them out like this, but you'll see that it goes at this angle. If you want them going back the same angle that this is at, just come up to here and put it on normal, and you'll see now when I pull it back it's exactly the same angle as this top node is here. So I'm just going to pull it back just so it goes in there till you're happy with it, and then press Alt H, bring everything back, and now you can see that's the beginning of our lock of our chest. So now we're going to make the actual lock for this part here. So what we'll do is, again, we will come to our lock, and now we'll select both the faces. They're already selected for me. If not, just select both the faces, and what you're going to do then is press Shift S, cursor to selected, and that's going to put it pretty much in the middle. That's exactly what we want. Press Shift A, and now we'll bring in another cylinder, and then we'll come up to here, make sure it's on global, and now when you twist this round on the y-axis, it will twist the right way. If you've not got this set correctly, it will twist on a different axis. So let's just make it smaller now, and what I'm looking for is to get, okay, how big is the lock actually going to be on this part here. So if I press 3, I can see that probably a little bit too big there, and that's probably about the right size. So if you just watch this through, you'll see exactly what I'm going to do here. So let's now pull this out, and I'll make it a bit thinner on the x-axis, so SX. And now I'll delete these two faces here. I don't need those, so delete faces. And now let's delete the two bottom ones here. We don't need those either. And now if you press 3, you'll see this is what it's going to look like. What I'll do is I'll click on vert select, this vert, then this vert here. If you can't click on it, just zoom in a little bit and then you will be able to. 3 again, and now press E, Z, and bring them down. And then you're going to make them a bit wider as well. So S, Y, and pull them out. And now you can see we've got the perfect lock shape. Press the F button and join them all up like so. So now let's give this some thickness. So we'll press Tab, and we'll press A to select it all, E, Enter, and S, and just bring it out a little bit. And you'll notice that it is slightly out, and that's what I expected. If you press 3 though, and then you press S and Y, you can bring it out a little bit, and then just basically look to get it pretty even. So I'm just going to pull it up a little bit just to get that part even first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into vert select. I'm going to select this vert and this vert. Press 3 again. S, Y, and bring them out until I'm happy with the actual thickness. And also you could come round. So if you grab all these with Alt Shift and then pull them back, most locks have a little bit of a lip, an angle like so. Finally, we're not going to need the back of this. It's just a waste of polygons. It's a fair few polygons as well. So on this occasion, we will actually delete faces on the back of it like so. Now let's make it so we can actually make the lock. So it actually drops back into here. So what we'll do is we'll press Alt Shift, and so we've grabbed all these around here. Press Alt F, and you're going to end up with this. Press P, selection, and now we can select this part. Again, right click, set origin to geometry, Control A, rotation and scale, and now let's pull this out. Finally, press the tab button, A to select everything, E to extrude it out, and now you've got this that we're going to use for a boolean. So let's just pull it in a little bit more. I don't want it quite so far back. I certainly don't want it going into this bar here, for instance. So now this is done. Let's now rename this to make it easier for ourselves. So let's call it boolean, like so. And let's bring this back into where it's going to go. Now, of course, at the moment, the angle of it is not correct. So let's correct the angle. So RY, and just get it, just so it's kind of level. Doesn't have to be perfect again. Just make sure it's kind of level like that. And now what you're going to do is you're going to click on this, and we're going to split this part here away from this part. So press Tab, go to Vert Select, which we're on. Click on this, press L, P, selection, and that split that part away. And now we're going to come across to add modifier, and we're going to add a boolean. And the boolean, which is this here, this object here. So basically, the object is whatever you want as a boolean. And because we named on boolean, it's pretty easy to see, okay, this is the boolean. Now, you can't see anything at the moment, but when I click apply, and now I put this on and pull this away, you'll see that we've cut out the little piece that is exactly what we need. Now last thing we need to do, we don't need this boolean anymore, so we'll delete it, and now we'll grab this lock part here, and of course you can see the origin is right over here, and that's not what we want whatsoever. So let's right click first, set origin to geometry, Control A, rotation and scale, and now we can bring it back. And the reason why we're setting the rotation and scale is just to make sure that when we're actually manipulating this, we're manipulating on the correct axis. So now let's press R, Y, and let's just drop this in place. So zoom in a little bit, and then come up to where it says global, put it on normal, and now when I pull it back, it's going to be at the angle that I want. And finally, what we need to do now is, you can see there's an edge around here because this was the same exact dimensions as the boolean we used. Just press S, bring it in, and then you're not going to get that, and it's going to cover it up like so. And now if you, while you've got this highlighted, come over to materials, and we will make a new material for this, and we'll just call it a lock for now. So let's click new and put it on diffuse, go to color and drop it down. Let's put it on materials so we can see, and that's what it's going to look like. Finally, let's add the material here. So this material, if we look, now we've got all the materials on here, because we joined them all up together. So this one will be metal 1, and we could use metal 2 on this one. Let's have a look. So we'll come to this one first, go on here and click metal 1. Okay, I'm happy with that. And now let's look at this one to see if metal 1 or should it be metal 2. So click on metal 1 and now click on metal 2, and I think it looks better as metal 2. And finally, all we need to do now is this bit within here, we just want to make it a darker color, just so it actually looks like a lock. So we'll click on this one, we'll hide this, click on this one again, and then we've got this selected. Now if yours is not selected, the easiest way to do this, to make it easy for yourself, is just go up to vert select, grab one of the verts, Alt Shift, and just grab all the verts with Alt Shift all the way around. Not that one. We're just grabbing the inside of them. So Alt Shift. And now press Control E and click Mark Scene. Now what that enables you to do now, if you come up to Face Select for instance, it only works in Face Select. If I click on this face and press L, you can see now it only goes up to the edge of where I've put a seam on, which is very handy. Now what we'll do is we'll click on this plus button here, new, put it on diffuse, and then just bring the color all the way down to something pretty dark, and then all you need to do is click assign. And let's press tab, and now you can see that we've got that nice dark color as what it should be for a lock. Press Alt H, bring everything back, and now you can see, okay, do I need this a bit darker or not? Let's have a look, and let's put it a tiny bit darker. Double tap A, and there we go. I'm quite happy with how that's turned out. So now we just have the handles and the hinges to do, and maybe we'll put something on the top of this. So let's first of all though make sure it's all joined up. So click the A button just to select everything, press Ctrl J, and that should be everything then selected. And because we added all those modifiers previously, just have a look around and make sure that nothing's out of place, which can happen sometimes, and it's looking fine the way it is at the moment. Now what I'll do is I'll press Ctrl A, rotation and scale, and then I'll right click, I'll set origin to geometry. If I press 3 now, I can actually bring the chest up just to line up with the bottom of the plane there, and now it's looking much better. You can't see through it like we could before. So let's start work now on our handles. So let's come to this side first, so press tab button, and we'll select this. Well, I think actually we're going to put it right about here where the handle's going to go. It's going to go between these two. So what I'll do is I'll select these two, press Shift S and cursor to selected, and that puts it right in there. Now we need to come up here and put this back on global, and then press Shift A, bring in a cylinder, and I think we'll leave this on 12 just for this tutorial. You might want to bring this down a little bit. Now press RX 90 and then RZ 90, and now you've got it in the position where we want it, bring it down, and you'll see because we did put our cursor there, for instance, that it is exactly in the middle. That's exactly what we want. So now we can bring it down a little bit more, make it a bit wider, so SX, and now all we need is a handle. The one thing we do need to make sure, of course, is that we're going to get rid of the back of this, so we're not wasting half of the cylinder basically on nothing. Now, the way that we make the handle is if we come up to Edit, go to Preferences, and come over to where it says Add-ons, and then do a search and put in Extra. Make sure that Extra Objects is ticked. Don't worry about the curve extra objects, won't need that for this tutorial. Click Refresh and then close it. And now what will happen is, as long as your cursor's there, if it's not, do the previous steps we did before. Press Shift A and bring in a torus, bring in a supertoid. Okay, so now we've brought this in, we cannot move it until we've finished changing the presets. So the first preset we'll do is, it has too many segments on it for what we're looking to do. So let's put this on 10, and let's bring this one down to 6, and finally let's bring down the small radius, because it's very thick at the moment, to 0.21. I think that should be round about the right size. When you're happy with it, you can actually go over the top and have a look at it, but when you're happy with it, then you can move it. And again, if you make a mistake, just bring in another torus and the presets will come up again. So now let's make it smaller, and let's look at what the angle is. The angle is not correct at the moment, so let's change the angle. Make sure again that you're on global up here, and then RY, X, sorry, and bring it round. Bring it down, and what I'm looking for is it to fit in this part here pretty well. So let's press S, and now I can bring it up. And the other thing is, I can see now that maybe I want to bring this in a little bit, because you can see the angle's stuck out here. So let's bring it in just a slight bit. So I'm pressing RX, and I'm just turning it around just a little bit. You might want yours poking out more or something like that. And I can see also that this, do I want the handle bigger? If I do, then I need to make this bigger. So I think I want the handle a little bit bigger, because I think I want it just resting near enough on this bar here. So I'll press S and I'll bring it down, and there I'm happy with how that's looking there. So now I just need to manipulate this. So I'm going to click on this, press the L button, press the S button, and now I'm going to squish this in a little bit. So S, Z, bring it in. And now I'm going to bring it down. And now all I need to do is make sure that this is basically covering up this. So I can see that it does need to come in, because it's too thick at the moment. So SX. And now I can see we're starting to get somewhere. We need to bring it up again. So SZ. And now we can see that's fitting in really nice. You do want a little bit of metal down the bottom. Not too much, but that seems a little bit too little for me. So like that, and that looks to be fitting in really nice there. So the last thing we need to do is, of course, we need to make this a proper mesh, and I can see a little edge coming up here, so I'll just pull that up just slightly, but I'm going to get rid of that anyway. So what I'll do is I'll start with this part here first. So I'll hide this, and then I'll press Alt Shift on this part here, and I'll press Delete Faces because I don't need those. Bring the other part back, Alt H, and you can see that's looking much better already. And now what we'll do is we'll start deleting these faces. So delete faces. And now what we'll do is we'll actually split this up over. It's the easiest way. So I want that edge there, and I want that. And what I'll do is I'll select all these, press P, selection, and now press Tab. Click on this, and now I can hide the parts that I want. So hide those, and I can see now that inside here. So if I click on here again, press Tab button, and now you can see if you press the Z button, wireframe, you should be able to see where you start here. So you can see this one here. Press the L button, delete faces, and now you can go back into solid form. Press Alt H when you're in object mode, and now you've brought this back. So let's now join this these faces up again. So press Tab button, go to Vert Select all the verts on this side with Alt Shift click, unselect these, right click, bridge edge loops, and finally let's join these up with the F button. And now we'll do the same for this side. So unselect these, right click, bridge edge loops, and let's do the same with this part here, like so. And now let's go back into material mode and let's join these two parts up. So first of all, let's click on this and invert select all these, press P, selection, like so, and then we'll join this part up and this part up, so Control J. And now all we need to do is we need to make sure that just for now that the orientation is in the middle. So first thing I want to do is press Control A, rotation and scale. Now I'm going to put the cursor in the middle, so Shift S, and you're going to put cursor to world origin, and that, Shift S, cursor to world origin, that puts that in the middle. And now I'm going to press right click, set origin to 3D cursor. Why am I doing that, you may ask? Well, because I want to mirror that to this side and it's going to make it a lot easier. So let's go over now to the little spanner. While you've got this selected, add modifier, go down to mirror, which is this one here, and click on the y-axis, click the x-axis off, and you'll see now that you've put another handle on the other side exactly where you want it. So now let's click apply. Now we're happy with those, and there we go, that's the two handles done. And also like I say, you can go into these and make them bigger if you want to, or smaller. I'm happy with them this size, but you might want yours much bigger, so just go and make them bigger before mirroring it over. So the last thing now we need to do is add the hinges on the back, and I think I'm either going to put my hinges here or somewhere over here, but we'll have a look. So first thing we need to do is let's select the chest, go into face select and select this face here, press Shift S, and we're going to put cursor to selected, that's going to put it in the middle there, Shift A, and let's bring in a cylinder again. And now what we'll do is basically the same as we did with the handles. We're just going to manipulate the cylinder on the x-axis, so RX 90. And now let's make it much smaller. And actually hinges are pretty round actually. They're not so flat. So let's make it a bit smaller and bring it up. And we're just going to look at where this is going to fit in. So I think here would be a nice place, and this side here. Also it hides this piece of wood here where it's not quite gone right. Not because we did something wrong, it's just where the wood ended up. So if we press Control 3, and now I'm just going to make it longer on the y-axis, and I'm going to bring it over just like that. And I think I'm quite happy with how that actually looks. So now what I'll do is I will fix this hinge first before I do anything else. So I'm going to go on face select, delete these faces, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the whole of the hinge here, press L when you're hovering over it, press the P button, selection, and that's split away from the main chest. And now let's split the parts that we need and the parts that we don't need. So press tab button while in face mode, select the faces that you want to show, which is all these, press the P button, selection, and there we go. Now we just need to hide this chest just for a second, so click on the chest, press H, click on this part of the hinge that we don't want, press the delete button, and that's got rid of those. Now we'll just join these up the same way as we did before. So press tab button, vert select, alt shift, select all these edges here, and just unselect these ones, right click, bridge edge loops, and now finally let's join these up, and we'll do the same on the other side as well. So alt shift, unselect, right click, bridge edge loops, press F, and there we go. So tab, alt H, bring everything back, and if you're not happy still with this part here, well, just drag it out a little bit more along here. I just want to make sure though that it is back enough, so what I'll do is I'll press Control A, rotation and scale, In fact, I'll just select that first. So Control A, rotation and scale. Right click, set origin to geometry, and now I'm free to move this back a little bit and also move it over there. And I think I will press the tab button and just grab these faces here like so, and just pull them out like that. Now I'm just looking to make sure that I'm happy with how the hinge is going to look. I will make it another color, so I will make it the same color as this, as I will do with the handles as well. So let's first of all go to our material, and we can see that we've already got our materials already here. So if we pick, let's have a look, I think it's this one, and I will change that. Let's just sort that out because that should have been done before. So if we click on this, we can see it's material 01, and I'll just put this as metal lock, just to make it easy. We should be naming things anyway. And this I will call metal, in fact we'll call it lock black, and we know which one that is. So now let's go back to the hinge, select the hinge, and we can see that metal lock is the one we want. Press tab A and click assign, and that should then make it the color that we want. And before we do that, we'll also make these handles the same. So metal lock, and we'll grab these. So go to vert select, because I want these to stay the same color. I just want the handles to be a bit different. Metal lock, click assign, and there we go. That makes it look so much better. So now just this hinge. Now we've already reset the rotation and scale. All we need to do now is set the origin to the middle. So Shift S once more, cursor to world origin, that selects that there. Right click, set origin to 3D cursor, and now we can start putting another mirror in place. So mirror, and put it on the y-axis, and there we go. Now it should be perfectly in place. Click apply, and now we can join them all up. So click these parts and these parts, press Ctrl J, and that'll join everything up. And just to make sure, just press the G button, just to make sure it all moves together like so. And there we go. There's the hinges on our chest. So the last thing I would like to do, I think, maybe put in something along here. So I'll do that quickly. So we'll press tab button, go into face select, select this face, and I'm thinking possibly this face. Yeah, I think we will. Make sure that you're on individual origins, press the E button, S, bring them in, and just bring them in about this far. What I want to do is I want to bring them in further enough so that this is not behind this. So just above this, like that. Now what you need to do is you need to click on this, press Ctrl C, and that's copied that. Now let's click on this one and this one. And now we can do the same thing. So press E, enter, S, enter, and now come over here and drag it down so it covers all three. Press Ctrl V, and there you'll see when you press enter, you've actually copied that over then on all three of the axes, exactly the same as these. So now they should all be exactly the same. And finally what we're going to do is we're going to select them all now, press E, and we're just going to bring them in just very slightly. And now there we go. It just adds a bit more something to the chest. So now before we finish, what we'll do is we'll just rename this cylinder to chest, and we'll also bring in a light so that we can actually put it on Eevee. So we'll bring in a sun, bring it out, pull it up, and then put it on the y-axis. So RY, like so. I'll just pull it over here just so it's at a different angle. RZ, bring it round. Come over to here where you've got a light bulb and try something like 5. And now if you go into Eevee, you'll see that you've got it already rendered out for you. And there is the low poly chest. So now the last thing we need to do is we just want to set the origin. So right click, set origin to geometry, and finally Control A and rotation and scale. And now let's smooth off some of these edges. I'm not quite happy with them being so angled like that, so press right click and go to shade smooth. It will come out something like this, which is of course something we don't want. Come over here to the little triangle, click on there, and then click on auto smooth, and now you'll see you've got nice smooth edges. You can turn this up to smooth it off a little bit more to your liking. I think I'm happy with something like that, and if you want the handles smoothed off, then you'll basically have to split them away from the rest of the mesh to smooth those off, but I'm happy with how that's turned out. I hope you guys are, and thanks a lot for watching. I would like to say that I do a lot of online courses, so you're welcome to check out the links down below. I do support over 15,000 students now, and if you want to support me as well, there are, as I say, links down below. So thanks a lot everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.